are now watching the Amazin Mets pregame show with your hosts, Rob and CP.
Let's go Mets! Let's go Mets! Let's go Mets! Let's go Mets!
What's up, Mets fans? Welcome back to the Amazin Mets pregame show with myself and CP. Hopefully everybody is doing well with this god-awful baseball team that we call the New York Mets. 10 games under 500, and in a fashion that we've seen before with this New York Mets team. A game where they had the game early on, they had the lead, and then it slowly crept away. No insurance runs, bullpen not doing the job, an outstanding performance by Tyler McGill. And after that game was over, did you bother to watch game 2? I didn't, because I knew it was not going to be in the W column for the New York Mets. Chris, how you doing, buddy?
I mean, yesterday was a bad day, and no, I did not watch game 2. I was focused on my Rangers, wanted nothing to do with the Mets. I thought that, listen, first of all, something came up, and I do thoroughly apologize to you and to everybody else that I couldn't make the post-game stream. I wanted to rant up there with you all, and I apologize that I couldn't make it, but nonetheless, it's probably a good thing that I didn't, because I would have had a few choice words for this team. I really would have. And want to shout everybody out in the chat right now with us here at around 3:30 on a Wednesday afternoon. If you are here with us, you all are diehards, like just sicko. I don't know. Like I don't even know like what we would say to people who are just on here on board with us talking about this team that we call the New York Mets, like you said. So no, it was not a great day yesterday. Game 1 put a dagger in me, made me lose any confidence I had left, and that's just about it. And we'll talk about it. But yeah, I want to shout out everybody first and foremost being here and supporting us, because that's what matters the most. And this team right now, honestly, it's just secondary.
Yep. And you know what? This is the hardest time to be a fan of a team. When things happen over and over again, the same thing, the same way. Like you can just replay a game and it seems like it's happening the same way each and every time. And I don't know, I felt good going into yesterday. Even during the game, I'm like, all right, we're not getting a lot of hits here, but decent at bats. Lindor with the home run. All right, let's go. We're getting closer. And we talked about it on the pregame yesterday. What did we want to happen if the Mets came up in a situation where they had a save situation? Put in Edwin Diaz. You're wasting him away in the bullpen. You're not pitching him anywhere. Like, if they were throwing him in the 6th inning of a couple of games, all right, fine, I get it. But you're not using him at all. And I talked about this yesterday in the post game. They're putting guys in uncomfortable situations and then expect them to do well in those situations. I talked about cause and effect, right? The cause of Nimmo batting third is because Lindor and Alonso are not doing the job. So what is that doing? That's the effect on Nimmo. Nimmo gets taken out of a position where he's doing really well, because Nimmo was having a really good year in the leadoff spot. They put him third because Lindor and Alonso are not doing the job. So what do? You try to put a guy in a situation he's never been in before, and now you want him to be a big run producer, and he's not that guy. Look, Nimmo is what he is. Like, I like Nimmo. He's a 75 RBI guy. That's what he is. We put him in a 3 spot thinking he's going to be a 95 RBI guy, and I feel like that's the same thing with the bullpen right now. Because Edwin Diaz is a problem right now that is causing Mendoza to put guys like Ottavino and Garrett. Ottavino has terrible numbers in the 9th inning. Terrible. And Reed Garrett is what he is. He's Reed Garrett. Besides this year, he's never been good. So you're putting them in situations where they never succeeded and expect good things coming out of them. And I think that's the issue that the Mets have fallen into now. And I'm not blaming Mendoza or the front office or anybody who's making these decisions, because of the fact that I understand it, but you're not going anywhere putting players in bad situations and then expect good things from them, Chris. So I don't know how you feel, because we did talk about that Diaz thing yesterday, and it was so frustrating because when Ottavino came in, I had no confidence at all.
No, it's just funny how stuff that we talk about in the pregame comes to fruition. You know what I mean? Like, as soon as I saw Adam Ottavino out there for the ninth inning, we all probably collectively were like, all right, oh crap, this is actually happening. And little did we know that he would just quickly surrender 3 hits in a row and the inning would go south from there. Now, he's lucky he didn't get, I guess, the go-ahead run in that inning scored on him. But no, it's just ugly baseball, man. Like, and you can't blame Carlos Mendoza, right? I think Emmy's in the chat here saying that a lot of people are starting to turn on Stearns and Mendoza. You can't turn on Stearns. You can't turn on Mendoza. I know Carlos Ramos in here has been preaching this from the start, and I did also as well in the offseason, but they gave me a glimmer of hope with that JD Martinez sign that they could be competent enough to make the playoffs, which has gone out the window for me now. But even in the offseason, I was like, this is an experimental type year, right? And Carlos has been preaching it as well. We are going to see here what this team is made of, and not the guys that are 1-year deals, right? These guys are going to be gone. I think we all know that these guys are going to be gone. When? That's a better question. When is the better question, but not if at this point. But no, I agree with you, man. Like Adam Ottavino, when he was re-signed to that deal, right? I thought that we finally let him go. And I know that he's been good for the New York Mets. He was great in 2022 in a setup role, and he was good, serviceable enough, I guess, with a larger role in 2023. But that's a guy that is a filler. He's a filler reliever in this type of year. Nothing more, nothing less. So now having to rely on him in the ninth inning when your superstar closer is struggling after giving up 3 blown saves in a row, that's a problem. That doesn't scream playoff team to me whatsoever. So I agree with you. I said it in the pregame as well. You said it. Any closer by committee, if that's the way the Mets were going to approach this, for the rest of the season or for the time being, playoff chances out the window. You might as well just start the fire sale now because it's not going to work that way. That's not how this league is set up. Adam Ottavino, like you said, doesn't really have success in the ninth inning because all bets are off when that first runner basically reaches either via walk or via hit. All bets are off, and we saw it, right? I don't know, man. Very frustrating, but the most that I feel for, like the person I feel for the most is Tyler McGill because I owe him an apology. He's been pitching great in his last 2 outings ever since he came back from injury. He had everything working for him. He shut down an elite lineup, right? Shut him down. And he had everything working for him. He was efficient, 7 innings pitched. The splitter was working. The slider was working. The heat, the fastball, 97 miles per hour was working. And he was locating. And all of the stuff that we talk about Tyler McGill, because like I said, I am at fault for going after Tyler McGill countless of times because of his lack of put away pitches. But he pitched his ass off. And for him to not come away with that victory is ridiculous. Not only Adam Ottavino being to blame, but also where is this lineup after the Francisco Lindor home run? Where are they for the entire game after that home run? They were no-shows after that home run. And it was a great swing by Francisco Lindor. It was a great swing. I loved it from the left side. Hanging breaking ball by Tyler Glasnow, sent into the seats. Awesome. Where is the offensive production from everybody else for the rest of the game?
Yeah.
Nowhere. It was nowhere. It was abysmal, and that was embarrassing, Rob. I'm sorry. I had to.
Yeah. And you know what? The top 3 guys in the lineup had 7 strikeouts. Lindor had 4. He had the 2 home runs, 2 RBI, 2-run home run. Fine, that was great, but he didn't do nothing after that. And that was the same thing we talked about. We talked about this on every show that we can possibly do for the New York Mets. We talk about it all the time. This team needs to score early, and when they do, they need to add on insurance runs. You know, even if they would have got 1 more run, it would have put more doubt in the Dodgers' mind to come back from a 3-run deficit than a 2-run deficit, right? And we talk about this all the time, right? If you look the rest of the lineup from the 5th spot all the way down to the 9th spot in the Dodger lineup, they're terrible. It's 1 through 4 that is basically putting them over the top, right? Our 1 through 4 is not doing that, right? Who got the base hits in the 10th, right? You got Mookie Betts, boom, in the 10th inning, right away, ghost runner, came home. Right after that, Freddie Freeman, 2-run homer, game over. But we weren't coming back, right? Where was the guys that we continue to talk about in those big spots, in those moments when you need them to step up? And the Dodgers just showed you right there. Look who stepped up for them. It wasn't Teoscar Hernandez. It wasn't anybody else in the bottom of the order, right? And this is why it's frustrating, because not only did the Mets can't turn 3 possible double plays, and each one of them would have won us a ball game, we also had an error that cost us as well. But the worst part is that I hear people all over the place. I can't believe Tyrone Taylor didn't swing at that 3-1 fastball. Well, maybe it shouldn't have led to that point. Like, everybody was like, oh, base hit, Pete Alonso, great. JD Martinez, base hit, 2 CNI singles. They need to hit the ball over the wall or hit the ball in the gap. Like, I'm sorry. Like, it sounds nice. And this is when somebody said to me, oh, Pete Alonso's been fine, or these guys have, or some guys have been fine. No. These guys are not supposed to be fine. They're supposed to be better than everybody else on their team, right? You can't rely on Tyrone Taylor and Jeff McNeil getting the job done. I'm sorry. It was Harrison Bader, Tyrone Taylor, and Jeff McNeil. Again, they had to come up in big spots and have to do the job again when the other guys did not do the job. Like, Chris, you weren't on the post game yesterday, but I told people, what did I message you? And then going into the ninth inning, Pete Alonso needs to hit this ball over the wall, right? That's exactly what I text you with, right? And what happened? Like I said, it's not the worst thing in the world, but again, Nimmo, I don't know what's wrong with Nimmo. You put him in the third spot, he has over 20 strikeouts in that 3-hole, and he looked lost in that ninth inning. Like, I mean, I don't know what the hell he was doing, but it comes back again. It seems like they try to hand it off to the next guy, and yet nobody wants to blame everybody else. Like, they're not the problem, because I saw the Dodgers yesterday, and they won because of their core guys. Our guys did squat, and it continues to be that way game after game after game. Your clutchest hitter is a Harrison Bader, and Tyrone Taylor and Jeff McNeil was put in a W. You just put all their pressure on them when they're the supporting cast. They occasionally should be doing it, not all the time. And it seems like every opportunity the Mets get, it seems like the top guys don't get it done, and the bottom half of the lineup gets opportunities, and more often than not does it. But when they don't do it, they get blamed for stuff like that. Like, people were killing all over X Tyrone Taylor for not swinging at 3-1. Do you realize that pitcher threw one good pitch the entire at bat? He was wild all over the place. Again, should he thought about fastball down the middle? Sure, absolutely. Right? You're a major league. You should be ready for that pitch. But to lead up to that point and then blame it on Tyrone Taylor is silly to me, because you should be blaming the guys at the top, because the game should have been over before that even came about. Before Bader came up in the 5th spot, pitch hitting for Marte, it should have never happened. But it led to that because the guys at the top couldn't do the job. And that's the issue I continue to have with this team, Chris, because it's frustrating, and we're going to continue to question it. And 10 games under 500, they are making it very hard to watch. And it's not even June yet, Chris. Not even June.
Yeah, I mean, that's it, really. I mean, at this point, I mean, no consistency, can't win ball games in this league with no consistency. The Mets have had zero. What's funny, actually, I don't know if you mentioned this, but and we got great comments streaming in from the chat. I appreciate everyone being here. Like we all said, hit that thumbs up, being streamed to both YouTube channels, Rob's and myself. Appreciate that. If you don't subscribe yet, make sure you subscribe. But Steve Cohen was there, right? Behind home plate. Was that game 1 or game 2? Because it's kind of like a blur to me now. Was that game 1 or game 2? I'm pretty sure it was game
It was
1. No, it was game 1, right? Oh my goodness, man. If you needed a front row seat to see where this team's at, Steve, I hope you're watching this, because you know what? This is something that I don't like. And I know a couple Mets fans fall into this sort of realm, like me up here sitting seeing this product on the field. The easy way out is to blame Steve Cohen. That's the easy way out. And I know that this is completely 180 and we're kind of straying away from the topic of what we just witnessed, that debacle of the last 2 games yesterday, but I can't sit here and blame Steve Cohen, man. I really can't. And I think that's really the easy way out. And I think a lot of people, like, they blame everybody else but these abysmal players. And I don't like, as a fan, when is it gonna stop? And I know it's like always someone has to be the scapegoat beyond the players, right? Because this organization has been in shambles from the front office down for so many years, but I just don't understand it. But yeah, no, I agree with you. Honestly, I was pretty pissed off that Tyrone Taylor watched 3-1. I agree with what you're saying, though, at the end of the day as well. I agree. We talk about not even home runs because, like Daniel was saying in the chat, it is hard to hit home runs, right? We understand it's not going to happen on the whim, but a ball in the gap, something exciting and useful and meaningful instead of just trying to pile on singles. Now, I'm never going to just sort of shame singles, especially if they're piling it on in the 9th inning, because you should be able to take advantage of a situation at that point and win a ball game if you're Tyrone Taylor. But I agree, man. I agree with what you're saying, and I agree with what everybody else is saying. I just don't think that there's one person you can pinpoint these losses on. I think it's a collective unit, and I really do at the end of the day think this core is bad, this team's bad, and everything, and everybody that walks onto the field, and everybody who walks onto the field is bad, and they all need to be held accountable, right? And we could talk about individual performances, right? But where's the consistency? Like Tyler McGill, awesome stuff. You had it. You shut down an elite lineup. Awesome. But like for me, and it's unfair because he's put together 2 starts in a row, but it's like next time Tyler McGill's name is called, is he going to produce, like me as a Mets fan watching this team and everybody else around, is he going to produce that same result? Are we going to see any sort of consistency? And if he does, fantastic. Is that going to translate to the next guy that's stepping up on the mound the next day? Is that going to translate to Pete Alonso? Is that going to translate to Jeff McNeil, who's sitting there throwing his bat time and time again? Like anything's different's going to happen in the next at bat because he threw his bat 20 feet. It's embarrassing, man. It's embarrassing. It's really embarrassing. There's nothing else like to say.
No.
And the whole I'm sure you saw it. I'm sure everybody else saw it. We've said it on this podcast, but we don't expect this to be an excuse amongst the players. We're better than what we're showing right now.
Oh,
like us here as people talking about this team probably know that. We probably can look at this team on paper and say, okay, you all are probably better or should be better than 10 games under 500 to this point in the season. But as players, what are we supposed to do with that as fans? What are we supposed to do?
You know what's annoying about those comments? And we heard from McNeil yesterday saying that. We heard Lindor, we heard Alonso, we heard Nimmo. All these guys have said it. The main guys have said the same thing in different ways, that we're better than we're playing. Well, no, it's been 2 years now since you won 101 wins. All right, that is slowly but surely getting out of a lot of people's minds. It doesn't matter what you did 2 years ago. I think we have this. I think this core has this mindset like they're the same team they were 2 years ago. And they have that, like they're supposed to live off of that when they're not playing well now. You can't do that. I'm sorry. Like you choked it. You choked in 2022. That's what people remember. And then in 2023, you were in this fog the whole season with a terrible way to start a season. And then you let your owner and GM make a decision they probably didn't want to make, but you the players forced them to make that decision. Nobody else. And now we're gonna come towards it again, where you're hearing, "Oh, we're better than we're playing." No, you're not. You're just not. Take accountability. saying that you're better than you are right now is not taking accountability. Now, they do take individual accountability, but I want to hear accountability as a whole, right? You're not better than how you've been playing. It's just not a fact. You've had a 15-game stretch where you were good out of what? 55 games? Like, no. The other 40 games you've been bad. So you're not playing well, and nobody can say that they're playing well except for a certain amount of guys that is really not going to put this team on the top, take them to the top, and that's the issue. And this is why. And I think you said it before, Chris. This team's rotten. This core is rotten. Something's wrong here, and I think nobody wants to break up the core for no reason, right? But there's too many facts and too many reasons why this combination of core guys, the main guys on this team, there needs to be a breakup here. And unfortunately, there's ways to do it because of Alonso being a free agent and Jeff McNeil on a team-friendly deal. He could get traded, right? Lindor and Nimmo, people can say whatever you want. I don't care how rich the owner is. Nobody's going to pay 6 or 7 years of a player not on their team. It's not happening. So Lindor and Nimmo are here for the long haul. Remember that, guys. We all talk about Nimmo like, he's the best thing since sliced bread. He's barely batting over 210. All right. And he's paid like one of the better center fielders in baseball. And he's not even playing center field anymore. So we have to understand that there's changes that can be made. The majority of this team is going to be traded at the deadline with a lot of these one-year deals. And there's a pretty good chance that Alonso could be traded. And if anybody believes that they shouldn't trade him, you need your head examined. I'm sorry. You cannot go into the offseason without trading Alonso, and if he goes elsewhere, you get nothing except a draft pick if you give him the qualifying offer, which they probably will do.
Yeah, got some breaking news, Rob.
That's Diaz injured?
Yeah, Diaz is on the 15-day IL, thanks to John Rossi in the comments, due to a right shoulder impingement.
Well, that answered the question for yesterday, right?
I mean, is the Phantom IL just because Billy Epler got caught using it? Is that off the table still? I don't know, man. Listen, like, we don't know what these players are dealing with behind the scenes. You know what I mean? And we try to deduce these answers. I don't know. It's tough. Like when is it time to, like Carlos Ramos is saying in the chat, just calm down and just start taking our tone from why aren't we winning this games? This team is so bad, and transfer it over to, okay, wake me up when, I don't know, Blade Tidwell's on the major league team, or like when Luis Angel Acuna is on the major league team. When I'm curious, like in your mind, when does that transfer of tone start? Like when are we just content with what we've already seen and knowing what we've seen to let's just look forward to when these guys get called up, and that's really what we're going to be looking forward to for the rest of 2024? I'm curious in your mind.
I mean, I guess
starting for me. It's starting for me already.
At this point where it's when they lose the way they do almost every day, very similar every day, I kind of chuckle a little bit. Like, it's not, I don't even get angry anymore. Like, I laugh. Like, I don't even know what else to do. Like, if I get angry, it's just not, it's not good. It's not healthy. Like, I laugh at it. Like, cause it's so, like, we're in May and the season's over. Like, I don't think anybody believes that this season is going to get turned around because there's been no signs that this team turning anything around. And I don't trust the guys that are the main guys anyway. And I haven't trusted them for a couple of years now. And I've got killed for many years. Like, I try to be positive in the offseason because I believe that if your main guys play to the back of their baseball cards and you get one or two supporting characters in this lineup do their job as well, you're talking about a good lineup. It's kind of the complete opposite. Like the guys that are the back end of this team are doing their job, and you can't win ball games without your main guys. And that's why I'm so frustrated, because like I watch it and I'm like, oh, 1 through 4, 3 strikeouts in the inning, 7 strikeouts in total in the game. Like how are you supposed to win a ball game like that? You just can't. It would be nice if your supporting cast can win you games and get you to the playoffs. It just doesn't happen. So like I'm numb to it now. Like I laugh. I just go, I shrug my shoulders, pray there's something else I can watch on TV, and that's just the way it goes now. And it sucks because it's not even June 1st.
Yeah. And we're sort of stuck in like you just said, the time period here, May 29th. We're sort of stuck in this time period. Like, wow, we can't believe that it's another year of us not talking about or looking forward to the rest of the season and just looking forward to the trade deadline and who we're selling off versus who's coming up to fill in this team and see what we got for the future. But it's too early. If you listen to David Stern's press conference, it's still too early to be exploring those kind of trades right now, minus maybe like a 1-year deal guy. Like, we're not going to see a Pete Alonso trade until probably, I don't know, because like it could go both ways. You could build better value by trading him to a contender and getting him acclimated as soon as possible, or maybe like a Jeff McNeil, whoever we're talking about here, or you can just wait until you get bunched up offers later on towards the deadline, and that's where you get your maximum value. So it's like you could go either way, and I don't really know how those conversations happen between front offices, but it's like we're stuck here as fans and as people who talk about this team on a daily basis between just like it's like no man's land right now, because we know this team is nothing and they're not going anywhere, but it's also too early to just see any of these trades come to fruition and for roster spots, the major roster spots, to become available to the young exciting guys that we want to see. So I don't know. It's just a shame. It's just rinse and repeat, man. It's rinse and
Yeah,
repeat every single year outside of maybe 2022. That's it.
yeah, and that's the other issue too. It's like we got 2 months until the deadline. Like it's a long way away. You might get that end of June trade with one of your 1-year deal type of guys. Where a team might feel like they have to jump in now and try to get the player before they have to pay too much to get somebody. Like Peter Alonso is going to have value regardless of how he's playing. Like I don't know how many people listen to WFAN, but if you listen to the overnight guy Chris McMonagle, CMAC, he talked about how bad Anthony Rizzo is for the Yankees. And I know it's going to be crazy for a Met Yankee trade of that magnitude to happen, but we're talking about a David Stearns guy that is looking out for the best interests of the franchise going forward, right? If he thinks the Yankees have the best value coming back for Pete Alonso, you make the deal. Fuck the feelings. I don't care. If Pete Alonso hits a big home run of the World Series, wonderful, good for him. But like people are like, oh, yeah, the Yankees are gonna have to pay a premium because you're giving them to the Yankees. But maybe you can get a guy like Spencer Jones. Maybe they might actually give up a Jason Dominguez in a trade. A deal like that. Like it might feel far fetched, but if a team like that, exactly how I feel when I'm talking about this, right? Because I can't take my feelings into consideration, and obviously, if my feelings get in the way, I don't want to trade him to the Yankees. I don't want to see him succeed with the Yankees and go deep into the playoffs and maybe get a big hit for the pinstripes. No fucking way. But that's why you got to take your emotion out of it. What is in the best interest of your team going forward? Because this season's irrelevant. Regardless of what happens here, it doesn't affect the Mets organization as a whole because they're going to suck with or without Pete Alonso this year. You got to get something for him because you don't know about the offseason. You don't know the thought process of David Stearns. And I think David Stearns is going to take the best offer for every single player on this team that is available for trade, and that includes Pete Alonso. And I do think, and I went around the league, there's not a lot of teams that need power bat first baseman or first baseman as a whole, right? I just brought up the Yankees because they got a very struggling veteran guy at first base in Anthony Rizzo, who's not playing well right now. He's not playing well defensively. He's not hitting. You put Alonso with Aaron Judge and Juan Soto, that's a dangerous, trio right there. And I don't want it personally with my feelings, but if Brian Cashman comes with a crazy offer, like, and he gets desperate, you have to do it. And I know everybody is like, you're out of your fucking mind, but this is David Stearns, a guy who has no emotional attachment to these guys. He understands Pete Alonso is fan driven here and the fan favorite. But you got to do what you got to do here. If you want to get better in the future, that's the bullet you might have to bite on. And it's frustrating. And you can't take a lesser deal to not send him to the Yankees and take a lesser deal just because you don't want to send him to the Yankees. That's bad business. And I don't think David Stearns in this role to make bad business, to do the right thing for this organization. So I know that's crazy to think about, but it's a real possibility. I was thinking about another team, Chris, Seattle. Like that's the issue. So like I'm just emotionally drained. Like this is what we're talking about in May.
Yeah,
It's
it's
ridiculous.
tough. It's a tough look, man. Any way you draw it up, it's a tough look. Want to shout out Ibby in the chat. Good comment here. And I think that if we close this stream out in any sort of capacity up beyond, like, I think it's the 3:59, he said this at. I'm beyond ready. This is, I guess, an answer to me saying, when are we ready for the conversation about just looking forward to the prospects and letting go of the pipe dream of having any sort of winning season in 2024? I think a lot of people are ready for that conversation as well, and I am as well. But I'm just curious because I think some people out there are still holding on to this false hope of like this team might go on a sneaky run. And of course, we've said it here, but we aren't in this world enough to know that this team is going nowhere, right? So Ibby's saying I'm beyond ready for that conversation and overall tone, but my frustration is more what caused this broken clubhouse? What caused this team to become so unlikable? And it's beyond the losses. It's just a DOA team right now. And I think that this comment really is important because this front office is not only getting a feel for talent, right? And what it's going to take talent wise to compete. But I truly think that if anyone knows what's going on in this clubhouse, like, is there someone more than the rest that is sticking out like a sore thumb in terms of not being a team player or bringing down the vibes and the camaraderie and all that good stuff? And I think that this front office is also has a challenge not only to build this team back up talent wise, but also just, I guess, with the camaraderie aspect of it, of like just the spirit wise, like you can't have, and we talked about this countless of times, and even before this season started, like, are we going to see the same lifeless team that we saw in 2023, where it looks like they just quite simply don't like each other? You know what I mean? And they'd rather be somewhere else after they collect a paycheck. And I hate to say that because we simply don't know. And Hector says it all the time in our roundtables. We can't make that assumption, but that's what it looks like to us from the outside. Whereas you look at other teams, they're having fun. And obviously fun comes with winning, but that's a culture aspect. So I really do think the Mets need a culture change. And I'm not going to pinpoint this on any single one player because I think that there are multiple people that you can probably at the end of the day, whether it comes out or whether it doesn't, probably point the finger at. But I'm not behind the scenes to know who those players are distinctly. But like someone said in the comments, Mr. Tommy Pham, try to warn everybody indirectly. And you know what? It's probably damn right. And I don't know if we'll ever know as fans, Rob, and that's not for us to know, but that's for David Stearns to know. That was for Billy Epler to know and to relay to David Stearns when he got here. So all that's being relayed. And I'm sorry, and I know that can sound corny, that can sound like it's cliche, all we care about is talent. No, like it's not. You need to bring players in here who care, who like each other, and who want to foster that kind of environment. And I get it. I get it, it sounds corny. But playing sports, having played sports, you don't even need to play sports. You could just carry this aspect and see it on a day-to-day basis at your work environment, etc. That is important. That's it. That's all I got to say. I know it's a little bit of a rant, but I think people often overlook that.
You can find who you want to blame, but again, it was Buck Showalter's fault last year. It was Billy Epler's fault last year. It was, the Wilpons before that with a couple of these core guys. Now people are trying to blame Mendoza and Cohen and everybody else except the guys who's been here through numerous front office regimes. I'm sorry, and numerous managers. We got Callaway, we had Luis Rojas, we had Buck, now we have Mendoza. Who has been the staple here? Right? Alonso, Nimmo, McNeil have been here a little bit longer than Lindor with multiple regimes, right? Clearly, it's the core. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to say it. Like, I'm sorry to say, and this might hurt your feelings, but if you don't know, if you don't understand that now and realize that, how many more regime changes you need, how many more managers you need to change, coaches you need to change, owners change, GMs change, presidents change, managers change, but who's been there all along? Mostly McNeil, Nimmo, and Alonso, and for over the last 4 years, 3.5 is Lindor. So there's your answer, guys. I don't think it's that hard. I think a lot of people don't want to say it, but I think it's a fact. Like, it's clearly the core. Something between this core is just not working. If it feels like it's not the right fit. Hector brought that up. It just feel like they don't fit. And I think that's the issue, guys. I don't think it's a hard question anymore, right? Everybody blamed Buck last year, and it clearly wasn't Buck, right? They blame Luis Rojas, who was put into a no-win situation. It's his fault, right? Mickey Callaway was a joke, but was it his fault? No. Damn, I mean, I would love to blame Sandy Alderson, but I mean, he did take a team to the World Series, nearly 10 years ago. So it's hard to continue to blame everybody else that you feel like blaming, except the guys who's been there through all the regime changes, from front office to manager to coaches. It's been those guys. So how about blame those guys? Ibby, blame them. Why not? And you know what? Nobody wants to trade Pete Alonso. Nobody wants to trade Nimmo, Lindor, McNeil. A lot of people still think, like those guys. I think McNeil is probably the most favorite with everybody, but they're still fans of those players. But you have to realize who's been there through all these changes, and nothing has changed. Losing has still been a common theme. And on top of that, it just seems like there's a toxic environment amongst those guys, and it brings down the rest of the team. Whoever it is, and I'm telling you right now, David Stern knows. He probably heard rumors prior to taking control over this team, and now that he is in the know and he's in the clubhouse every day, he knows. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Whoever he trades and how he does this offseason, you're gonna have a pretty good idea of who was the real problem and the toxic people in this clubhouse. We heard Salakada said it, who got killed for it. We heard Tommy Pham talk about this. We heard about many rumors over the last couple of years of the toxicity in this clubhouse. We blamed everybody else, every manager we can think of, every coach, every GM, and now it's trickling down to the owner. Yet it's those players that have been there the longest out of everybody. Let's figure it out. And I think David Stearns knows who it is, if that answers your question or Ibby's question.
Yeah, I agree.
God, I don't.
Nothing else. That's all we got. I mean, that's really all we can say. I mean, to be honest, that's all we can say. That's it.
All right. All right, guys. So the game started, I believe. I'm not even watching it. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. I'll get my notifications on my phone because I'm gonna throw the remote through the TV probably at some point. So the Mets have been kings of salvaging series because that's what they do best. They'll probably
Yeah.
find a way to win today because they like the salvage series, and they'll go into the Arizona 4-game series, and who knows? Because Arizona's not playing well either, and the Mets should beat them, but they probably won't. So here we are, May 29th, not even June. We couldn't even get to the June swoon before we talking about this team dead in the water. Unfortunately, tonight there won't be a roundtable, guys. I know I could try to talk it up over the last couple of days. Scheduling wise, it just didn't work out for all of us, and to try to get a couple of fill-ins in short notice, it's almost impossible. And a roundtable isn't really cool with like two people. It's kind of like this show, so it's like a roundtable is usually good. We're screaming at each other back and forth and talking over each other. It's great. So unfortunately, we'll pick another day. Maybe the weekend might work out depending on if there's a day game and scheduling and all that. So thanks for watching the Amazing Mets pregame with myself and CP. Make sure you subscribe and like as well before you guys go. And we'll be here, guys, to vent and to provide you Mets therapy on a daily basis. So, Chris, you have a great day. Everybody in the chat, you have a great day. Let's go Mets with a question mark, I guess. Dot dot dot. So, everybody have a great day. Chris, have a great day. Let's go Mets, guys.
Let's go
Have a great
Mets.
day.